to coast.
Coast to shore.
Shore to shore.
Shore to shore.
It's a Lakey
Unleashed, unleashed.
We talk truth.
Information.
Infotainment.
Infotainment.
He says what
You've been thinking.
but you've been scared to say. Yeah. We love to listen.
We love to listen, Jimmy. Yeah.
We do.
We love to listen to Jimmy.
Tell it.
Tell it.
Tell it.
Coast to coast.
Yeah.
Coast to shore.
It's Lakey Unleashed and
Lakey unleashed and unfiltered. Where faith meets fire.
Turn it up
A little higher.
the Jimmy Lakey
Daily show is on now.
Lakey Unleashed
Daily unleashed, daily show on.
preacher. You ready for it?
Yeah,
You ready for faith?
yeah.
You ready for fire? You ready for politics with some Holy Ghost power?
Faith meets fire.
Ooh.
Faith meets fire.
From your kitchen table to that big old 18-wheeler.
Big old 18-wheeler.
From the city to the country, Jimmy Lakey speaking what you feeling.
Lakey unleashed.
Say it.
Lakey unleashed.
Don't touch that dime.
Lakey unleashed.
Don't you go nowhere.
Lakey unleashed.
The Lakey on these
Lakey unleashed.
Daily Show, Jimmy Lakey is on right now. 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 Right now is music.
Right now.
All right, here it is.
Right now.
I'm music.
Right now.
Right now, Lakey, music to your ears, my friend. I know you're happy to be here and happy to sing along with Brother Leroy. I was almost about to stand up and do a little dance there, but I decided not to because, well, I didn't want to. I don't know. We'll save that for Sunday, I guess, when we go down to the church or something. Anyway, good to have all of you here. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? The 5th day of March, year of our Lord, 2026. Brother Leroy knocking it out of the park. Somebody asked me yesterday, they said, has Brother Leroy sent you the invoice yet? I have no comment. The mail's not working. It's just emails all down. Hey, we got the invoices yet for all the great work that Brother Leroy's doing. But we do have a third mortgage on like the office or something. I don't know. Lakey Entertainment Towers now owned by Brother Leroy because he's doing such great work as the jingles. Good to have everybody here. Thursday, March the 5th, year of our Lord, 2026. Welcome into the House of Lakey for the Lakey Unleashed Streamcast, podcast, and broadcast. And we're pleasured, pleased, and a little bit tingly just to have you on. We're going to give you an update with the great R.P. Newman coming back on the show. He messaged me this morning, thought he might have a little conflict because he was over maybe even right now with the Newsmax, and then he's going to pop onto this show. So everybody stand by. R.P. Newman heard some interesting things last evening. I was watching a Jesse Waters monologue and just kind of some of the stats about the dominance of our U.S. military and the strategery that's in place here in Iran. And R.P. Newman will jump in here. Also, one of the fan faves out there, ladies, like the Beatles are coming to town. Nils Gravilius is going to be on the show at 8:45 a.m. You don't want to miss old Nils. He's always a famed LA-based private detective, and he's going to be on the show with us. And, of course, today is Thursday, which means, if you know the show well, it's the day for the travel day. It's Jay Ratliff, our aviation and travel expert, is going to be on the show. And, yes, I have been opining about the dark cabin in the air flights, and Jay gave me a list of topics, and I said, could you also opine and help me understand exactly why the cabins of aircrafts have to be kept pitch black in the middle of the day now? I don't understand. I don't like it. I've griped about it this week. It's been a what's bugging me moment with Dennis Neal yesterday, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. So stay tuned if you'd like to see Lakey get the answer to that. That's coming up. Jay Ratliff at about 1 hour from right now. We'll be well into that segment. That's 9 a.m. Mountain, 11 a.m. on the East Coast time. Or if you're listening on the podcast version later in the show, and you want to skip right to Jay, go forward about 53 minutes, and you'll find Jay Ratliff right there. All right, let's talk about the Iranian Navy that's now submarines. Ship's producer Chad told me that. He said, you hear that Iran got about 11 new submarines, 17 new submarines? And I said, no. He said, yeah, earlier in the day they were battleships, but now they're submarines. The U.S. has not sunk a naval vessel like that in a war like this since WW2. They are out in the Indian Ocean thinking they're on international water, so they must be safe. And the U.S. military said, listen, we're very serious about it. There is no safe spot for the Iranian terrorist regime. I want people to get around this, and I think people are starting to catch on to the language. The Democrats, of course, well, there's the old adage that fake news or the rumor has a chance to get halfway around the globe before the truth has a chance to put its pants on or its britches on, as you'd say in the South. Well, one of the narratives of the Democrats, Chuck Schumer, and the intellectually bankrupt, godless crowd of Democrats out there, yes, I said it, you know it's true. These folks that have so many bad policies, they want Trump to fail more than they want America to succeed. That is not something controlled by being a good person inside. They have such derangement syndrome. They hope to see Trump's failure more than they want America's success. So they got out there with this fake news narrative. He's starting a new war, an unconstitutional war. And these boneheads on the left went out there, and the media, of course, are lapdogs, and they all sniff each other's butts all day like dogs in a dog park, and that's what the media does with the Democrat Party. And so they ran out with this narrative as an unconstitutional, illegal war. And I think the response is, Donald Trump, you don't have to like that he's finishing a war, but he didn't start a war. This war against America was launched by the terrorist regime of Iran back when they took over Iran in about 1979. 47 years they have been at war with us. There have been countless thousands of people maimed in battlefields by roadside bombs and devices that were made in Iran. A lot of the injuries that happened in Iraq that were very tragic came from weapons that came with Iranian names on them. Iran had put them into Iraq to destroy Americans. We've been held hostage. We've had ships boarded. Remember the image in the Obama era where our Navy guys were on their knees, but hands behind their back, and the terrorists had guns at their head. They started a war with us a long, long time ago, and it's Donald Trump that finally says, okay, I don't care what, we've kicked the can down the road, and it's time that we cut the head off this thing and cut the balls off of it too. Now, don't get upset with me that I said cut the balls off of it, because Condoleezza Rice, who I have a lot of respect for, and yes, she was in the Bush administration and with Dick Cheney and some of the never-ending wars, but even she came out yesterday and she said, no, now's the time to neuter it. She was complimentary of the Trump administration for finally doing what no one else had the courage to do. We did not start a war, an unconstitutional war. We are finishing a war, and I hope we finish it well, and I hope we finish it with quickly and with great results. But that's the narrative that got out there that don't forget, Roger says, don't forget the USS Cole. So what the America is doing, and that's a great point, that happened at the end of the, that happened just as one administration was going out and another was coming in, and nobody ever did anything. But thousands of people have been injured, maimed, killed by the Iranians for 47 years, and America sat here. I mean, we've been so stupid about this that Obama sent billions of dollars and said, if you terrorists will stop waging war on us and not escalate to a nuclear weapon, billions of dollars. Joe Biden, while he was cramping his pants, he did the same thing, billions of dollars. 47 years, this war needs to come to an end, and I think our U.S. military is hopefully going to get that done here post-haste. That would be very, very good. Now, I remember back the 9/11 Commission. Do you remember back after September 11th, after the dust had settled and we kind of got our head back on as a nation, and we were in a whirlwind about being attacked like we were on 9/11. Some of you youngsters don't remember it, but some of us others do. There was the 9/11 Commission. And in that 9/11 Commission, the fascinating part of the discovery there was they discovered that Jamie Gorelick, who was running part of the Bush administration intelligence, and all these departments were not communicating with each other. And one of the great summations of that 9/11 Commission, go back and look it up, was that they were at war with us, but we didn't realize it. We weren't at war with them. They had declared war on us by actions and word, and we didn't do anything about it. And that's what's happened for 47 years. They've been at war with us, and the U.S. has taken action and said, okay, we're going to realize it. And we had made the same mistake of not realizing someone's at war with us, and that's what the 9/11 Commission came up with after September the 11th, was they were at war with us, but we weren't paying attention, and therefore we weren't at war with them, and it caused the loss of thousands of people, both on 9/11 and the 20 years of war that happened afterwards. So anyway, throw that out there. Donald Trump, if you're a leftist crazed liberal sitting in your mama's basement with blue hair, probably driving one of those Subaru Outbacks, maybe, I don't know what you're driving, or some other little disgusting vehicle, you need to know that where Donald Trump did not start an unconstitutional war, in my opinion. Donald Trump is finishing a war that's been waged against America for 47 years. All right, good to have you here on the show again. Neil Scrivilius, famed private investigator, is going to be on the show. Jay Ratliff's going to be on the program today, our aviation and travel expert. I'm still wondering, is the next Ayatollah standing up? How do you think those meetings are going? Now, last night they were saying that it may be the current Ayatollah, the dead Ayatollah. I've heard his name said 1,000 ways. It may be his son. And can you imagine those meetings, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, the old guys are dead. We need a gray beard. They always wait. Okay, no gray beards. Okay, how old are you, son? You're 24. You shave every other day. Okay, so you can't grow a gray beard yet. Yeah, and I don't want the job. I mean, that's how low they're getting on the totem pole in the reserves. And it's going to be a game. What somebody say yesterday, instead of a game of whack-a-mole, it's whack-a-Ayatollah. You stick up, but boom. And that's what's going to happen. And couldn't happen to nicer people, could it? Couldn't happen to nicer people. Yeah. 47 years, my friend. They've been doing damage to America and our servicemen and women. And to hell with them. Bring out the bigger bombs. Let's do it. All right, let's get some insight on this. He's an expert at the topic, and he also makes the hearts of ladies swoon every time he comes on the program. His name is R.P. Newman. He is a retired Marine combat veteran, expert when it comes to many of these foreign policy issues. He's actually literally writing the book on Iran right now. Very fortuitous that he was already in process of writing the book, and it will be out sometime in the next few months. It's Mr. R.P. Newman in the green room. Ladies' hearts are swooning. The crowd goes crazy, and there he is. Behold him.
Two things. I told you not to do drugs prior to coming on the show regarding that whole swooning thing. How do you know they're not recoiling in horror? It can look
looks the same. It does, yeah.
Way. And the other thing, cut that out.
Oh, if you insist, I won't. But I appreciate your thoughts. I welcome your opinion, and I don't take it, but I welcome it. Thank you so much for your opinion there. Yeah, see, look, hearts are on the screen right there. Stacy says hearts. Those are for you, R.P. Newman.
Oh, no. I mean, more than 30 years ago, I loaned Stacy $3, and she never paid me back. So now she's trying to get on my good side.
Yeah.
With interest, it's up to $3.14, Stacy. Just saying.
Yeah.
But you look at what's happening today. What we have is hybrid warfare. Hybrid is, in this instance, in regards to Operation Epic Fury, it's a combination of the paradigm in the current military parlance called JADO, J-A-D-O. That's Joint All Domain Operations, and there are 6 domains in there: air, land, maritime, space, cyberspace, and the electromagnetic spectrum. And now we are hearing that it's looking like we're going to have an insurgent situation added by us, namely the Kurds. And the Kurds, the Kurdish diaspora spreads primarily across northwest Iran, Syria, Iraq, and into Turkey. And the Central Intelligence Agency, via their Directorate of Operations, has something called the Special Activities Center. And that's broken into 2 branches, the paramilitary branch and the political military branch. And if we can get the Kurds, they're not Arabs, they have their own culture, they have their own language, their own special history, and they're very disciplined and quite good on the battlefield. If they can go into Iran, meaning some from Iraq go in and then team up with some of the Iranian Kurds, and again, there are many millions of Iranian Kurds living inside Iran, link up with them and cause the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and the Iranian military to be drawn up into that area, then that might set the stage for a popular uprising of a more kinetic and successful fashion. That's the idea here. This is called a fifth column operation. It's if you go back to 1936 and 1939, the Spanish Civil War, Nationalist General Emilio Mola called his insurgents the fifth column, his fifth column. That's what this is based on.
Yeah. Roger just put up a comment, said, what about Turkey? They see the Kurds as a terrorist organization, and this was a problem in Syria, and Turkey shares a border with Iran. Give me your thoughts. Do the Kurds help in one sense but hurt in another?
They can. That's referring to the PKK, the Kurdish People's Party for Turkey. And they've been contentious in a lot of ways. Now, of course, Turkey does not want the Kurds to have an autonomous zone like they have in Iraq. 3 provinces in northern Iraq are Kurdistan, literally Kurdistan, and they have autonomy. Are they still part of Iraq? Yes, they are. So, keep in mind that as history will tell us, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, but we have to apply the law of war. And if a certain organization violates the law of war by attacking civilians and so on, then those are terrorist attacks. But it's not all Kurds. It's not even close to being all Kurds. That's like saying all Iranians are terrorists. No, they're not. It's like saying, saying all Irish are IRA. No, they're not. So you have to look at the details, understand history, and for those who commit terror attacks, they need to be held accountable.
Yeah. I was listening to Fox News last night. Jesse Waters had an interesting monologue, and he went through what has happened, and we're not even paying attention to the talk about the history of warfare, that with the United States now in control of the Strait of Hormuz and saying we'll escort vessels through there, that this really puts China and other places, we're in control. We control all the major naval seabound choke points around the globe now. From the Panama Canal to the Strait of Hormuz, you name it, we're in control of all of those. And the Chinese, first and foremost, because they rely so heavily on oil to come from some of those regions, have to be shaking in their boots. Give me your thoughts. We talk about the air dominance and just the bombing that's happening in Iran, but the naval dominance has also been quite spectacular, from the torpedo that hit the naval vessel from Iran to controlling all the choke points of the globe. That we're in a pretty powerful position right now.
We are, and one of those facets of power is it's causing, without doubt, the Chinese hierarchy to consider their options a little bit more closely. When you look at the island of Formosa, Taiwan, all right, Chiang Kai-shek went in there in the 1940s after he was booted out of mainland China by Mao Zedong. And remember when we called him Mao Zedong? They changed it. And I noticed they also changed Bombay to Mumbai. I don't know what's happening there. But anyway, going back to these choke points, yes, we control a lot of them. But when it comes to oil, in the Strait of Hormuz, roughly 20% of LNG and oil goes to the Strait of Hormuz. And China's been buying approximately 90% of Iran's oil. It's now cut off. Does that mean China can't operate? No, China can buy oil elsewhere. And they will buy and are buying oil elsewhere right now. But it makes them stop and think for a minute. Wow, look at this. Look at these all-domain operations that the United States is pulling off successfully so far. And that might give them enough pause to say, don't think we're in the next 3 years or so. And then depending off if a Marine corporal by the name of J.D. Vance, who is vice president now, if he becomes the president in a few years, well, this could give pause to the Chinese, which is what we want.
Yeah. Where are we at the operation? We've bombed the heebie-jeebies out, and thousands of bombs have hit the ground. Do we eventually run out of things to bomb? If they have,
That's the idea.
yeah.
Yes, it's attrition, and we were informed by a four-star general yesterday that we have plenty of munitions right now. Is that indefinite? No, but at the same time, we don't have any intention of still being fighting this war a year from now in the manner we are now. Could there be an insurgency at that time with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the remnants thereof, if the regime falls, creating an insurgency? Yeah, there's that situation, and it's something you have to consider.
Yeah. What is the likelihood of the people being able to raise up and take up their government, even if the Kurds serve as a distraction in a different area? These are an unarmed citizenry. Are we doing something to make sure that these people that want to take their government back in Tehran have the ability to do so? They've been disarmed for many, many years.
Well, there are ways to get weapons to people, and some of them work, some of them don't. It doesn't always go the way you want. I attended a course back in the 1980s at the Special Operations School that taught students like me and other weirdos how governments are overthrown, how insurgencies and guerrilla wars are started, run, and completed, and providing everything that if you're running an operation, you're trying to overthrow a government, oftentimes arms are in fact a rather important facet of that. So we'll see how this shapes up. You noticed that yesterday, Secretary Hegseth, the Secretary of the Department of Department of War, he said that no, we don't have DOW personnel working with the Kurds and arming them for going into Iran. He did say right after that perhaps other organizations in the administration are doing so.
You have studied a lot.
So put it together.
You've studied a lot of warfare, history, strategy, strategery, as our friend George W. Bush would ever say. Where do you think we're at in this thing? Are we in the? Do you see this as another couple of weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Are things really? President Trump said out of a 1 to 10, he gives us a 15. Are things really going that swimmingly well that even the commander in chief is a little surprised?
They're going as planned, and no one of all my contacts, no one anywhere in the DOW or elsewhere in the government thought that this would be over by now. The Iranian regime is deeply entrenched, and they are absolutely fanatical. 150 to 190,000 IRGC troops alone.
Wow.
And, you have to consider that coldly and not let any political leanings or any emotions get involved with that. We are in the first quarter, and I'm not exactly sure. No one is at this point, nobody, exactly sure how far into the first quarter we are. One of the things that will certainly be helpful, we believe, most assessments figure, is that if the people will now rise up or do so in the very near future, this will add to the possibility, if they do it properly and en masse and have some support, this adds to the probability of the regime falling.
Yeah, it's just a fascinating time. I opened the show by saying the Democrats went out there with this narrative, and again, if the fake news or rumor gets halfway around the globe before the truth gets its pants on, and they went out. He's starting an illegal, unconstitutional war. I said, no, this is a war that's been going on 47 years. We were just too asleep to pay attention to a war had been declared upon us. Would you agree with that? Donald Trump and the U.S. military right now is finishing a war that's been waged on America for 42 years. You probably have come across some dastardly deeds by the Iranians when you were serving.
I have. They started it, and our intent is to finish it. And the way they started, of course, in 1979 with the overthrow of Shah Reza Mohammad Pahlavi. And so there was the hostage situation at the embassy, 444 days, more than 50 Americans tortured, starved by the Iranian terrorists, the same Iranian terrorists per se as are now running the country. Then you have the attack on our U.S. embassy in April in Beirut in 1983, and then that was followed in October of '83 by the Marine Amphibious Unit barracks bombing at Beirut International Airport, with a loss of 241 American lives there, including about 220 Marines, and we had some of our pals who were in there with us as well from other services, and especially the Navy. And when you look at the list, the White House just a couple of days ago released a comprehensive list of Iranian proxy terror attacks and plots since way back then. It is absolutely massive. So you can either wring your hands and you can say, oh my goodness, the War Powers Resolution, oh, he's a war, Trump's a war criminal. No, he isn't. That's not. We have the law on our side, meaning the right side, the conservative side. So that's where we are right now, Jimmy. And you see this. You're going to have hybrid warfare for a while going on now. The Iranians have been doing this for they've been in power 47 years or so, and they've drawn a lot of American blood. And now they are attacking their Muslim brethren, and they're attacking them hard. I worked for 5 years in the defense industry inside Saudi Arabia. I lived in Riyadh. And I'll tell you, the Saudis are normally very reserved and staid people. One of the things that will upset them is if you attack them, because they believe that their land is holy, and not just Mecca or Medina. They believe that their land is holy. I can understand that. Look at the history there, and look at their their belief system. When you attack, they can get very, very upset, and the Iranians have attacked Qatar. They've attacked Cyprus, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Bahrain, and they're not going to stop until they run out of ammo. Then they're going to try to get more ammo. That's where we step in to try to prevent them from getting that.
Quick question back in Iran. Help us understand. We have the Ayatollahs, the mullahs, if you will, the Supreme Council that every time they get together, it's whack an Ayatollah on the head, and they go up into the dustbin of history. And so they're trying to find a replacement on that religious side. But you also have the IRGC, or the Iranian Republic Guard Corps. Are they one and the same? Are they competing? Is if the Ayatollahs can't choose a new leader, is the IRGC going to try to take the place over? Talk about the dynamic inside Iran.
Well, they're not run. They haven't run completely out of possible candidates yet to replace Khamenei. They're talking about maybe his son is next, and you see different reports. Some reports say he's been selected, and others say that he's just at the top of the list. We'll see how that shapes up as well. But the IRGC is extraordinarily loyal to the regime. They really form the foundation of the regime in regards to combat power, and they've got a long reach. Did we sink an IRGC ship yesterday off the coast of Sri Lanka? No, that wasn't IRGC. That's the Iranian Navy, and those two are separate. And they don't always get along. There is a great deal of animus between those two organizations. The IRGC looks with tremendous disdain, in many cases, upon the regular military of Iran. But we also get their attention when we do things like sink a destroyer. Some people call it a frigate. Well, the name of the ship is Denna, and that's Farsi for destroyer. And put her on the bottom. It's now an artificial reef, which sea urchins and fish and coral and moray eel, which is also a fish, but and recon Marines and Navy SEALs. We really appreciate that because we're divers. We like to be down there. And plus, I hope you go after we get back from Costa Rica on our next fishing trip. I'm going to put together a trip to this new reef site off of Sri Lanka, and we'll see what we can catch. Hopefully, it won't be a won't be a corpse.
Yeah, I was going to say it might be a corpse there by that time. Yeah, it's R.P. Newman. It's fascinating conversation. Last question for you. I'll let you get on about your day, drink some coffee or whatever. And I can't let the ladies see you too long because they're swooning still. I do have to ask you this. What do you think Iran looks like in 6 months, a year? Are we headed towards some kind of a pre-1979 secular society? Do they get back to that place? Is it a more moderate Islamic regime? What would you predict that maybe it looks like in 6 months to 12 months?
I wouldn't, and here's why. Too many things are at play right now, and we don't know what the end state is really going to look like in regards to, combat operations have stopped, but what follows next? The Iranian people need to stand up and take charge of their own destiny when this all falls down, when the regime falls. We don't need to be doing any kingmaker activities or anything along those lines, or picking somebody and trying to install them. This has to be left up to the Iranian people. It would be a substantial mistake if we go about it in a different way and say, okay, we got our guy, we're going to put him over there. No, don't do that. But at the same time, we support democracy over there, and we're going to have our State Department would very likely be highly active as well, helping them. You give them assistance if they ask for it. Give them assistance socially and sociopolitically, and stay the course. We can't afford to lose this.
Yeah. R.P. Newman, you're literally writing the book on Iran right now. That book's available in a couple of months. You have other books available on Amazon. I'll let you do the plug away of whatever you want to plug away, sir.
Well, the next book is going to cover a lot of years. It's going to go from 1979 to 2026, and it's a history book, but it's got amazing details inside it. It's called Iran's War of Annihilation. We already have a publisher. I don't self-publish. I do it the traditional way. Go out and find a publisher with query letters and discussion of the manuscript and the table of contracts, contents, and all of that. So that'll be out later this year. About 85,000 words, photos, and the whole ball of wax. 85,000
words. That means. Some of you probably should read this book.
10 chapters. Of course, now I have to write another chapter since we are now at war with Iran. So that'll be.
You may be writing for a while. You may be adding volume 2, volume 3 here coming up. Right. R.P. Newman, it's a pleasure. Look up R.P. Newman on the Amazon, and if you want to sign up for that Sri Lanka fishing expedition, send him an email. See if you're ready to go, and to be careful out there. Be careful.
Alrighty.
R.P. Newman, thank you very much. I appreciate you. And I owe him a cigar now. I always say that he comes on the program, not because he likes the show, but because he likes cigars, and it is on occasion that I do provide him with a fine cigar for his time and expertise on the show. And yes, he's true. We're going fishing together in May. I'll be off in the month of May for part of it, a week or so, because I'm going to be out fishing with R.P. Newman in the wilds of Costa Rica. I don't know. My son and I are going down, and it's going to be a fun time. That's in May. So yes, he was true. We are going to go fishing together. I know some of you are going, Lakey, I don't picture you as the fishing type. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. My son loves to fish. I grew up fishing with my grandpa in West Texas, and he couldn't catch anything. And it was West Texas lakes, and catfish was a big thing. There still wasn't a lot of stuff in the West Texas lake, and it wasn't all that fun. Grandpa couldn't catch anything, and you're standing on the side of so there's going to be boat fishing. We're going to have fun. Anyway, that's May. Yeah, he's right. We're going to go fishing together, and we'll give you full reports. Maybe R.P. Newman and I will pop on for a special, I don't know, that's May. We'll plan that later. All right, I've got a question of the day for you. By the way, welcome to the program, everybody. Jimmy is my name. R.P. Newman is just our guest. Very in-depth details on what's happening in Iran. Niels Gravilius is scheduled to be with us here in about 10 minutes. Jay Ratliff also going to be on the program, aviation and travel expert. Welcome to the show. It's the Lakey Unleashed Daily Update, unleashed from the confines of corporate radio. And here we are together where thousands of earballs either watch us live and or listen to us on a podcast, broadcast, or a streamcast version of the show, and we're always happy to have you here. I've got to ask you. Ladies are going to need photos of you fishing. Oh, there's going to be photos of us fishing. Hopefully catching some big stuff. RP Newman's written books on fishing. If you didn't know that, he's written literally books on fishing as well. And he's a world-renowned fishing photographer. If you didn't know that, he's known for his photography of fishing expeditions literally around the globe on almost every continent I think he's fished at. So it's it's not a joke when you go fishing with RP Newman, and I get to do that here in just 60 days or so. Texas, I want to hear from you. I got a lot of folks in Texas that watch the show. Some of you listen later in the day, and I appreciate it. What's the atmosphere in Texas like right now? Donald Trump has said, okay, neither one of John Cornyn or Mr. Paxton ran a good enough campaign in the Republican primary to get the actual nomination, and he says we don't want to have a battle going on between Republicans until May, and Paxton and Cornyn would get down and dirty, and there's no love lost between those two and those two factions of the Texas Republican Party. And so Donald Trump, it says he's going to soon make an endorsement in that race, and whoever he endorses, he's going to then gracefully ask if the other person would just drop out and let's be done and not get into a runoff of a primary. Texans, I want to hear from you in the motherland. Donald Trump jumping in, using his power, his influence, his popularity to, I guess, adjust the hands of time of that primary and said, no, we don't want to have that time of Republicans attacking each other. If you're in the great state of Texas, let me hear what you think of that, and how divided is your Republican Party between Paxton and Cornyn? They are two different wings. Cornyn does try to make himself seem as conservative as possible, but he's definitely not a Ted Cruz in office, and he has been called a rhino. He's trying to do better to fit into the MAGA wing, but I don't think he's a natural fit. But I think his voting record is pretty dang solid. But let me hear from the state of Texas in the division of the party. If Donald Trump endorses Paxton, what are you Cornyn fans going to do? If he endorses Cornyn, who sometimes people don't like if they say he's a rhino, then what are the Paxton people going to do? I want to hear kind of on the ground, eyes and ears of the state of politics in the great state of Texas, because this is going to be a very fascinating one. And Donald Trump says he's very close to making a decision on an endorsement. And I'm guessing there's some horse trading in the background. I'm guessing there's, John, you didn't stand with me on this, or John, I don't know where it's at. And I'm guessing there's probably going to be, hey, if you'll drop out, I will make you the ambassador to Tehran. We need somebody. I'm guessing there's going to be some horse trading, but if you're passionately involved and loving a candidate and you've been out fighting or voting for a candidate, if the president comes in and endorses someone other than your candidate, what is the real life implication of that on the ground in the great state of Texas? I'd like to hear your opinions. So all you Texans out there, get on your keyboards, type it up on the Facebook, and let me know your preference. Do you want Trump to endorse Paxton, or do you want Trump to endorse Cornyn? What say you? It's going to be a big deal when he does. And President Trump tweeted that out yesterday, that's about, or socialed it out, truthed it out yesterday. And he says an endorsement is forthcoming. Another thing in Texas that we didn't talk about yesterday, we talked about Jazzy Crockett going bye-bye, and she's going to probably get a deal on The View or some other thing where jackasses hang out at. But Al Green, you're crazed Al Green, the guy that's got a beard up to his eyeballs, is like, dude, you can trim that down a little bit. And he's got the long hippie hair, and I think he used straightener, I don't know. And he also then waves his cane at the president. He's a quack job. The guy's a disgrace to anybody who ever cast a ballot more than once for Al Green. You're an idiot. You should probably institutionalize yourself. The guy is a fool. He is the worst of the worst to represent any group of people, a congressional district, whether you voted for him, the color of his, it doesn't matter. He's a fool and an idiot, and we've seen his crazed, maniacal behavior on television. Well, remember the redistricting that happened in the state of Texas back when the legislature redrew the districts? And, well, one of the things that happened was that two Democrat districts were kind of combined. And so that put old Al crazy, maniacal, I'm bat crap crazy Al Green in competition with a guy who was holding a Democrat seat in another district. His name is Christian Menefee. And Menefee actually got the most votes, but he didn't clear the 50% margin. Menefee got 46%. Al Green, the crazy, maniacal, bat poop crazy fella, he got 44%. So there's going to be a runoff between them. It was an incumbent on incumbent clash, and it was forced because of the Texas redraw of the congressional maps. but Menifee says he's going to run, and they're going to do a battle royale between those two. And I'd like to hear from any of you in the Houston area, especially on the Al Green and Menifee race, and find out how that one's going to work out. But one of them, it's a death match, because one of them's not going to be in Congress anymore. And Texas, I send Al Green. If you're going to be foolish enough to send Al Green, then we just know that your district is run by idiots. So I'd love to get I'm just fascinated by watching this runoff time in Texas, and I want to hear how the Al Green Menifee runoff is going, and also your thoughts on the Paxton and the John Cornyn runoff. All right, before we get to Niels Gravilius waiting his arrival here momentarily, hopefully he gets the memo to be on the program. I bet he will. He usually does. I got a question for you. How addicted are you to coffee? I want you to think about your coffee experience in the morning, and you're watching this show and you see me every morning. I'm drinking coffee. No, it really is coffee. Yeah, you see I drink out of the Rivers Promise cups, right? Reminding you about our charity. I brand it everywhere because we want you to give to charity. There's some surveys out that I found fascinating, and I started to think, and I said, yeah, that's probably actually right. 93, coffee is a big deal. I mean, we think it's just kind of a part of the morning routine, but 93% of coffee drinkers say, you know what, this is what helps me get through my day. More than half of Americans say, I would rather go late to work than skip my first cup of coffee. You think of that. I'm sorry, you're going to walk yourself to school. I can't be late for work. You'll make your kids walk to school or miss school so you're not late for work, but you'll go late to work if you haven't had your cup of coffee. Let me give some of the information. I want you to kind of tell me how impactful, how big is coffee in your life? Does skipping a cup of coffee really screw your day up? Let me give some stats. This is quite interesting. 79% say when you have a good cup of coffee in the morning, your whole day is better. It feels easier. I mean, the coffee, 79% say a good cup of coffee will make your day feel easier, and boom, you just got to have the coffee. They also say 16 minutes of day goes to coffee. That includes about 6 minutes of making or buying your coffee, getting it just right. 10 minutes are spent sipping the coffee. You say, well, 16 minutes, okay, go make it the Keurig, or, put the grounds or grind up, however you're making your coffee. We spend 6 minutes making our coffee, getting it right. And then they say that's 16 minutes total. Well, we spend less than that showering every day. 11 minutes is the average time that people say they spend showering every day. People say they spend 9 minutes wolfing down some breakfast. And so we spend more time caring for and partaking in our coffee in the morning than the average person does taking a shower or eating breakfast. People say next week, when daylight savings time starts on Sunday, they're going to drink more coffee next week. They've already planned for it. 15% of people will skip coffee if they're running late next Monday. But 85% of people say, I will not skip coffee. If I'm running late, be damned. My boss can bite me because I'm going to have my coffee. 15% say I'll skip coffee if I'm running late next Monday because of the fast forward, the daylight savings time, spring forward thing. But that means 85% say I ain't skipping coffee. Nope. You make me turn my clocks back, I'll be late for work if I have to be. And again, more than half say any day of the week they'd rather show up a few minutes late with caffeine in their veins than show up for work early or on time with no caffeine in their veins. And here's one more stat. And I want to ask you, how big is coffee in your life? We've had at least 2 cups of coffee, ideally by 11 a.m. 2/3 say their first cup needs to happen before 8 a.m. And the average person says their second cup of coffee needs to happen at 10:42 a.m. So there's your question of the day. I'd like all of you to participate in. How big is coffee in your day? RJ says, yes, missing coffee ruins the day. Rich jumps in and says 1 to 1.5 pots of coffee a day. Not cups of coffee, Delilah. Rich is doing the pots of coffee. I don't drink soda, but I really enjoy a good cup of coffee. Jim says, I'm down to 3 pots of coffee a day. It's better than 12 packs of Mountain Dew where I used to go when I was younger. Well, that could be truth there as well. Yeah. I just find it fascinating. The coffee thing is just a really, really big dig. Dave says, I don't drink coffee. It upsets my stomach, but I love the hot tea. Hot tea can be just as time consuming. I think you could insert it. Anybody real serious about the hot tea, is it's a big deal. Jim says, what is it? It's 8:46 Mountain Time, 10:46 Eastern Time, and Jim is brewing his second pot of the day already. An entire pot of coffee. No, I use my go-to choice at home is I have one of those, what's it called? The Keurig machines, the little K-cups. And so I usually about 2 a day, and I use the big button so it fills it up. So usually when I start the show, this is one big button of coffee. The big button on the Keurig. That's not a coffee term. And I drink that, and then usually after the show I'll have another cup, and then I'm good. Occasionally I'll have a cup throughout the day. Now I am one person that I can drink coffee if I get in the mood for it. Later in the day, the caffeine doesn't affect me. I think I got enough stuff spazzing out in my head that the caffeine doesn't seem to bother me, keep me up at night. Some people say can't have a cup of coffee after like 1 or you're going to be crazy. It's just really fascinating information. How does skipping coffee ruin your day, and what would happen if you're in the second pot of the day already, Jim? If by chance your coffee maker was broken and you couldn't get somewhere to buy coffee, what would your day be like? See, there's your answer to the question of the day. What would skipping coffee do to ruin your day? Yeah. All right. Glad to have all of you here on the program, waiting on the arrival of Nils Gravilius. So I'm doing what we call in the business vamping. I'm dancing a little soft shoe here. Al Green, not the congressman, the singer. Yeah, I'm doing that kind of stuff. I'm a little shake and bake here. All right. Stacy just typed. Okay, let's read this. This is probably going to cover my face on the screen. I knew it would. I'm way down here. That's how long Stacy typed. Hello, can you see me? Yeah, there I am. Okay. This is about Texas. People probably want to vote on which guy they want. Voting in Dallas County in Texas was already getting crazy, with Democrats getting 2 extra hours to vote. Then being told the next morning a judge overturned that decision. The votes didn't count. It was after 7 p.m. Democrats are saying they are confused in Dallas County in Texas because voting centers were changed up. One Democrat threw a fit at my center and said he was not going to vote. Hey, a Democrat not voting is usually a good thing. Let them throw a fit. Don't vote. All right. Highway Living says, we get up at 5 a.m. Don't wake up until after 6 a.m. coffee. Very important. Rich says, I went back to my old-fashioned percolator and pot. We wore out too many Keurigs. Well, making that much coffee, probably so. When was the last? Delilah, do you know what a percolator is? You know what the Mr. Coffee? No, it's different. I have not thought about a percolator. Can you buy one of those? I don't know if I could use it. No, percolating coffee was the way to do it. And then Mr. Coffee came in and made it different. Percolating. Look up percolator. Don't spell it wrong. It'll end up on a sex site. I don't know. Aiden told me that. He said that. Don't spell it wrong. Fresh ground coffee and a Bun ultra fast coffee maker. Yeah, those buns make it quick. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Percolator. Look that up. It starts with a P. Perk you later. That's not a promise. That's a word. There you go. You're getting no perks later. All right, ladies and gentlemen, glad to have you here. I don't know where RP Newman is at, so let's continue to dive into some conversation here. It is fascinating to look at this story of Iran and go back if you get a chance and watch the monologue from Jesse Waters. I could have just repeated it, and it was fantastic. And RP Newman addressed this of how it is that we are in control of so many choke points in the oil supply that goes to China. Now, China can buy other places. They're going to buy other places, but they were buying a great discount from places like Venezuela and Iran to avoid embargoes and sanctions. But I'm sure China is definitely watching with one eye wide open, going at least 2 eyes, thinking, oh God, what's going to happen here? Because the U.S. in just a matter of weeks has really, with the Venezuela action and now the action in Iran, has just with no fanfare, no anything, just said, hey, we're in charge here and we're going to set up a world that is better. And one of the things that I appreciate about watching this thing with President Trump is that if you think about it, I know a lot of folks have the Trump derangement syndrome, orange man bad. But if you look at this, South America, Latin America area without Venezuela and Maduro and the communism there is better for our future generations. And in Iran, without these radicals that have controlled and decimated Americans and done harm to American service people, American interests for 47 years. A world without Iran is a better place. And I know a lot of people go, what about the midterms? What about the midterms? At some point, I'm just happy that Donald Trump is, yes, I'm sure he's going to work hard on the midterms, but he is doing some things that I think are long-term, making the world better for your kids and my kids, and even those of us who have hopefully another 50 or so years going on. It's going to make the world better. And that's what I really appreciate. I think that's what's happened is you've had presidents. How did this can get kicked down the road for 47 years? It's because presidents were thinking more politically and their political expedience and political survival than they were what is best for future generations. And they have too many jackasses in Washington, D.C. on both sides of the aisle that simply make their decision based on the course or the path of least resistance, because rather than do what's right for the future or right for the country, they do what's right to guarantee that they keep the perch of power that they've always sat on. And so, yeah, they can talk a big game and they can say a bunch of things that they want you to vote for them on, but when push comes to shove and pause comes to action, they don't do much to make your life better for future generations. This is why every politician comes back to run for re-election or decides, I was a congressman, I'm going to be a senator, because they say, we've got to fix this thing. How many years have you heard people talk about, we got to fix healthcare? Obamacare was supposed to fix healthcare. And now we recognize you were lied to by the Democrats, lied to by the media. Obamacare was simply a perk program. It was a benefit program for insurance. The only people that benefited from Obamacare in reality were the insurance companies, the insurance agencies. Because if a politician actually fixed something, then you wouldn't need them anymore. If a politician actually fixed something, they may be unpopular, they may lose their base, but at least they fixed a problem and they can go to their grave one day knowing I helped fix the problem. But most politicians are more interested in keeping the perch of power. They're interested in climbing the ladder, and one day they're going to reach the ultimate office, and therefore problems never get fixed so that they can keep promising you they're going to fix the problem. That's how they get elected. And it happens on both sides of the aisle. And what I like about this Iranian thing, I keep hearing these people on commentators in the chattering class that keep talking about, what about midterms? How does this affect Trump in the midterms? That's important. But I think the most important thing here is what's the right thing to do. And if it costs you in the short term, and I'm not saying it will, but if it costs you in the short term, but it makes the world a safer and better place in the long term, then thank God that Donald Trump has the cojones or the huevos, or whatever interpretation of the words you want to use, to actually do what the right thing is and not worry about the short-term implication, or let the short-term implication override the overarching theme that we got to leave the world in a better place. So that's what I admire about Trump. And some of you are too intellectually shallow, bankrupted, immature to actually recognize that politicians need to do what's best for the country and want the country to succeed, not for Donald Trump to fail. That's the whole Donald Trump derangement syndrome, the TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, is these people are so obsessed with Donald John Trump and hoping he fails that they can't put in front of what's better for the country. They want Donald Trump to fail. Therefore, they don't mind chomos, child molesters, and rapists roaming the streets of Minneapolis, because it doesn't matter. They hate Trump that much. They don't want the country to be better. They don't want communities to be safer. They want Donald Trump to fail. And what I like seeing here is that Donald Trump's like, you know what, we're just going to do what's right and let the chips fall where they may, and getting rid of these terrorist organizations. Getting rid of these terrorist organizations is very important to get rid of them. Just knock them out. And they've been attacking America for 47 years, and I'm not going to put up with it. And I don't know why Reagan didn't attack. I can't speak to why Bill Clinton or George H.W. Bush or George W. Bush or Barry Hussein Obama wouldn't even attack him, but he would send him billions of dollars, and Joe Biden, while crapping his pants, was sending him forget it. Donald Trump says, I'm going to do the right damn thing. And that's what I respect so much about Donald Trump, that his resolve is what I think is for the betterment of the country. And unfortunately, there's some people that hate him so much that the betterment of the country be damned. They just want to make sure that they know that they hate the orange man. So there is that. All right. Coffee. It looks like a lot of you are doing the coffee thing. Did you know there's been a big, we're coming to Jay Ratliff here in just a second. Do you know there's been a controversy going on? I did not know this, Delilah. Did not know it. That there has been a Chick-Fil-A controversy. Now, I do like the Chick-fil-A. It's pricey for chicken sandwich, small piece of chicken, but I like it. And people go, it's healthier. It's not any healthier. Look at the ingredients of that Chick-fil-A. It's got as many chemicals as a McDonald's thing. It's just not all that fantastic, but I like it. I like the Chick-fil-A on occasion, and I always wish I could have two, but I shouldn't because I'm trying to not get bigger. I need to get smaller. And so, but there's been a Chick-fil-A controversy I was not aware of. I read the headline. I said, oh my God, I missed it. Your voice matters, though. If you scream at Chick-fil-A, they'll listen to you. I didn't even know this. Producer Chad might have known this because none of us knew this. Let's admit it. About 2 years ago, Chick-fil-A did something. They have the waffle fries, which I'm not a big fan of. They have the waffle potato fries. They added something called pea starch, P-E-A, okay? I don't want you to think P-E-A, like peas, green peas. Pea starch to help the fries stay crispier. But evidently, customers have been complaining ever since that their waffle fries are too crispy. I don't get it. Your voice matters. Chick-fil-A has announced, if you were worried about this, and if you were worried about pea starch in your waffle fries, you probably need a hobby. If you took any moment to ever reach out to Chick-fil-A and say, why are my fries so crispy? You got to get rid of the pea starch. You probably should find a charity to volunteer for. I don't know. You probably should find a better life. But Chick-fil-A has now announced, because of pressure from the people, that they have removed pea starch from their waffle fries. They added it 2 years ago. It was not a popular move. I didn't even notice it. A lot of customers complained that the pea starch changed the texture and the flavor of the waffle fries. And they've been pushing it. Get back to your original recipe. They treated this as if it was original Coke Classic, and if it was a Coke Classic, or if it was the new Coke. They're very unhappy. Pepsi Clear, they're very unhappy. So for 2 years, they've been pushing, but effective immediately, they changed their customer support page on the Chick-fil-A website. Now includes this response: does your waffle fry recipe contain pea starch? The answer now is no. And they've updated the ingredients on the website to nix the pea starch. So let me ask you, this is like a news story. Is there anybody out there, and I follow the news, is there anybody out there that knew that Chick-fil-A had changed their waffle fry recipe a couple of years ago? Because I'm serious. Maybe I just missed the controversy. Maybe all the kids were like, I hate the waffle fries now. They got the pea starch in them. I don't think anybody knew, but somehow this is a news story. I don't get it. I don't understand, but pea starch. You know what it does make me want to do reading the story? It makes me want to stop by the Chick-fil-A and try some fries out and see if I notice any difference now that the pea starch is gone. Anybody ever cooked with pea starch? Where do you buy pea starch? Can you buy that at the Kroger? You buy that at the Safeway? Down in Texas, can you buy pea starch at the H-E-B? Producer Chad, you are quite the culinary guy in the kitchen, always posting up all the fantastic meals you make for your lovely bride and your family. I'd like to know a report later from you, Producer Chad. Have you ever cooked with pea starch, and would you consider that? I'm going to look it up on a recipe. Give me good recipes that include pea starch, and I don't even know where to buy it. All right, good to have all of you here. There's your Chick-fil-A controversy that I did not know that was there. Producer Chad just sent me a message, no pea starch for me. You may be missing out on something, Producer Chad. Pea starch could be a fantastic addition to some of your dishes. I'm thinking it could be. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got a couple of travel stories I want to get to. We're leading you to Jay Ratliff popping in here. But let me remind you about Sherry Cree, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. If you are in the housing market, maybe you're looking to upgrade, downgrade. Maybe you need more. Maybe you need building on an acreage, or your home on an acreage. Maybe you want an outbuilding to workshop. Listen, whatever your needs are. Maybe you're like me. You got a giant house, and you're like, why do I live in a giant house all by myself? And you're looking for options. Well, whatever the case may be, talk to Sherry, homeswithsherry.com. If you're in the housing market in Colorado, that I-25 corridor, start the Denver Metro, go south, head out up to Fort Collins, go a little bit east, go a little bit west, and boom, there's Sherry. She'll take care of you. She knows that if you play the real estate game correctly, it can create generational wealth. He also knows that 70% of all realtors in America last year did not do any transactions. So just because you see a fancy business card or somebody with a fancy sign on a bus bench or something, it doesn't mean they know the market, because they're not participating in anything. They're not participating in real estate. They just don't get the transaction. Sherry is a working realtor, and there's a big difference there. And she's she knows what's happening. She knows the market. She knows the trends. She knows the buying season, the selling season, and it can change literally within a week or a month. What you sell a home for in one neighborhood could be drastically different than the same house in the same neighborhood at a different time. She'll look at that calendar with you. Again, top dollar. She believes that every transaction can be used to create generational wealth. And if you play it right, and she wants to help you do it, go to her website, homeswithsherry.com. She's a great friend of Rivers Promise. She's been to Africa with us. Her and her husband have been there. They were there for the ribbon cutting of Legacy Christian Academy. Great friends of the program and great friend of Rivers Promise as well. And we appreciate Sherry. Go to the website, support her at real estate. Add her to your, I got to interview this realtor before I put a sign in my yard or start house hunting. Homeswithsherry.com. She'll be on the program with us tomorrow. Homeswithsherry.com. All right, stand by. We'll give you some Rivers Promise news here in just a bit. Our casino gala is coming up. Kickoff coming up. I'll give you that here in just a bit. But please, another friend of Rivers Promise and a friend of the program. He's our aviation and travel expert. His name is Mr. Jay Ratliff. And again, the crowd goes wild because there he is. Jay Ratliff, good morning.
Pleasant good morning. I've got to ask on that Sherry stat you gave, what was the percentage of realtors last year?
70% did not really do it.
That is an unreal stat. I'm glad you threw that out. I like learning important stuff like that.
Yeah, that means 30%, only 30% of realtors across America, national average, I'm sure it varied state to state. 30% were the only people doing transactions. In Colorado, we have more realtors that are licensed, and it's tough to get licensed in Colorado. We have more realtors almost than homes. I mean, it's crazy. Everybody's a realtor, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean they do anything.
My dad had his own construction company for decades, and I was around that quite a bit. You're right, finding a good realtor can make all the difference. So I'm glad you've got Sharon. I'm glad you get those stats. That's great to hear.
Yeah. I said the crowd is swooning here, and Linda just popped up on Facebook, said, and she sees you, and she says, and the swooning begins. It's right there on the comment for Linda.
Too kind.
Linda's not sober this time of the morning, so we don't know. Just kidding, Linda.
I might have a big time filter going on too. You never know what's behind this. So
exactly. All right.
Hey, these days we could be artificial intelligence too, right?
Yeah, some people say they wish I was artificial intelligence. That'd be smarter.
I wish I had some, right?
Yeah, I wish I had some of that. All right, how this works is every week you send me a kind of a list of topics and say, here's what you're paying attention to, and you literally say, pick what you want. Let's go, and we have a certain time frame we fit in. And I retorted back to you last night, and Jay, my listeners and viewers are probably tired of this, but I'm so sick of this, and it just hit me. Saturday morning, I flew to Dallas to check on my mother. It's 8:30 in the morning. We board the plane. 8:30 in the morning, the shades are still down because you're supposed to lower the shades to keep the heat down. Okay. They turn the lights off. It is pitch black in the plane at 8:30. And I didn't mind it because I was kind of tired because I was up late the night before. But then Sunday, I was flying back home Sunday at 5 o'clock, 4:45. I get on the flight. Perfectly fine. This is what my seat, I happen to be in 5E, and that's the light, okay? Perfect. We start taking off, and I take the same photo, and I go to that. That's the photo. That's what the flight attendant could not even see. She's waving a nap. I have this beacon of light coming down. It's blinding me. I'm looking at my phone, getting ready for the show. I go from this to this, and it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I turn behind me, and it's dark through the whole plane. You see a few bundles of light there. People have their shades open. I got a question. What the heck is happening? Why do people not open their blinds anymore? Why are we dimming the cabin lights like this?
Well, sometimes it also depends on the time of day you travel, because there's a lot of times with certain situations like at night, which obviously 5 o'clock is not. But one of the things that we know is in the event that there's an emergency evacuation at night, you want the eyes to be able to be able to respond. If you were leaving a bright environment to going outside, there's a moment of disorientation that we don't like to have during an emergency evacuation. And that's some of the time, Jimmy, sometimes it's the flight crew's preference. It's again, there's no bigger fan of flight attendants than me in this country. I talk about how great they are all the time, but there's some that dim the lights open, you go to sleep so they don't have to do anything. I'm not saying that's the majority, but the thought is, okay, folks, kiddies, it's nap time, get out the rugs and lay down and take your naps now. So like you're in first grade or kindergarten or some preschool type of thing. But typically though, there's a reason for that as far as the flight crews doing it. And it's universally done most of the time when it's based on that. But look, I'm with you. When I'm flying, my wife prefers the window seat. I'm in the aisle seat. and she always puts the shade down. And I'm like, well, if you want the windows, she goes, well, that just kind of disorients me. So she keeps it down. Drives me crazy because I want to see what's going on outside, especially on takeoff and landing. In the event something was to happen, I'm always looking out that window and everybody's got their shades down.
Yeah. I don't know. It used to be people were fascinated by flying. They wanted to raise their blinds, and now nobody seems to care anymore. Landing in Colorado, I learned this mistake. I watched the little flight path on the monitor in front of me.
Yeah.
And I enjoy watching that, the cockpit version, and then it's fantastic. But people have their blinds down, and if you're watching, you're like, you got to remember the altitude of your airport. Denver's a mile-high city, so I'm looking. We're 7,000 feet. I'm like, oh, we got a few more minutes here. Well, no, 10 seconds later, we hit the tarmac, boom, and I'm thinking we're all dead because I forgot the people would have had their window open. I could have had a heart attack. I just didn't see the ground coming.
Well, in the summertime, we do want the shades down, especially as we get off of a plane, because that allows us to keep the interior of the cabin cooler in the summer. That's why the shades come down. And you'll hear flight attendants many times in the summer ask passengers to do just that. Drop your shades as you board. Or leave so that the cabin can remain somewhat cool, especially when they go from the engines powering the air conditioning unit to having the auxiliary or ground power unit powering the air conditioning, because sometimes that's not going to be quite as effective, and every little bit helps, which is why they ask you to do that so they don't have to walk through and, drop 74 shades by themselves, which they won't do when a flight arrives at a city.
Well, I had a person been with American Airlines flight attendant for years. She saw the photos I put on social media, and she says, Jimmy, it's the younger ones. They don't like working as much. She goes, it keeps them out of the aisles, dim the lights, nap time kitties. And our flight attendant up in the front of the plane, she did. The lights were out. We got a little small snack, and she sat and read a book. And I guess she'd keep us in the dark. She didn't have to refill drinks or anything because she couldn't see. Yeah.
Well, they're manning their safety positions. And remember, flight attendants are emergency evacuation specialists. And I say that all the time. They deserve a heck of a lot more respect than we give them. And when I see people snapping their fingers at a flight attendant to get their attention, I want to take their iPad and smack them upside the head with it, because that's a highly trained professional. And to treat them like that is incredibly disrespectful. And those that get violent against flight attendants, I would put them through the training that flight attendants go through. And I guarantee you, they will come back with a fresh perspective on exactly the kind of respect that those men and women deserve.
Speaking of iPads, headphones, iPads, iPhones, United Airlines is not going to smack you upside the head if you don't have earbuds or headphones, but they are going to do something to you. They probably want to smack you upside the head if you're making everybody else listen to your audio.
They're going to kick you off the plane. Jimmy, I was caught off guard on this. United is normally the can't we get along? Let's be tolerant. It's okay if you wear, they're really relaxed on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But one of the things that they're sick of, and they're getting this from their frequent flyers, is when somebody sits on an airplane, pulls out their phone or their electronic device, they throw it on speaker, and they're jabbering away, or it's blaring at some insane volume, when all you've got to do is put stuff in your ear so that you're the only person that hears it. And how many times have we been out in public where you have individuals that are on a phone screaming into it, and within 38 feet, everybody hears both sides of the conversation? United Airlines is saying, look, you're not going to do that. And if you're doing it during the boarding process, what we're going to do is kick you off the plane. Now, they're going to warn you. It's not going to be like, hey, you're out of here. But you're going to be given a couple of opportunities to adhere to their new policy. If you don't, you run the risk of A, being kicked off the flight, B, being banned permanently from United, which you don't want to do. So I'm certainly glad to see this. Airlines, as we've talked about over all the years, they play follow the leader. And I'm really hoping other carriers follow through with this, because you wonder what I'm glad, I guess I don't get it. But when I see people doing that, they look around and seeing people react to what they're doing, and there just doesn't seem to be anything that clicks that we think you're an idiot.
Yes.
Stop it. Now, maybe you have a hearing issue. Maybe I get all that medical stuff, but far too often these men and women have got these phones just blaring. And I've never understood that, because look, we use normal phones all the time without needing to do that. And yet some people, that's their new way of life.
I agree. It's a pain in the rear. Very quickly, I want to respect your time here. Southwest Airlines, big hub here in Colorado, is still getting complaints about their new boarding policy. In my estimation, the boarding policy is like every other airline. It's just this is how we do it. People have not taken this well. They're responding to some complaints.
They're jumping up and down like a toddler throwing a temper tantrum. And many of these men and women are convinced, Jimmy, if they complain enough, Southwest Airlines will abandon this nonsense and go back to what they've done for 50 years, and that is open seating. Most of these complaints are coming from two groups of people. The first group is those that are traveling with families. And what's happening is they don't do pre-assigned seats. They're trying to save money. They get to the airport, and at the airport at the gate, they're going to assign what seats are left. And then when your family of four is seated in four different seats nowhere near each other, you can't force the airline to then say, I'm going to move passengers who paid to be in specific seats so that you can sit together. And you can't get on an airplane and demand other people change their seats because passengers are saying, look, you had the same opportunity we did. You could have paid a few extra dollars, put the family together. This wouldn't be an issue. To expect us to do it, to give up my window or aisle seat to sit in the middle seat so that you can save money. And no, that's just not it. The second group of people, and again, the first people, it's totally avoidable. The second group, I certainly understand. These are people that are seated in, let's say, rows 11, 12, 13, 14. They board from the back of the airplane forward. And you have a lot of people that are sitting in the back of the airplane with carry-on bags. They get to row like 10, 12, and I don't need to carry this. So they throw the bag in the overhead compartment over rows 12, 13. Then they go back and sit in row 28. So by the time the poor people from row 12 show up, all the overhead storage compartments are taken. Yeah. They're filled. And they're told, well, we've got space available for you over row 25. You don't want your bag back there. One, it's out of your control, out of your sight. You're worrying about people going through it. Two, when that plane lands, you're never getting off that airplane until everybody gets off so you can go back and get your bag. So that I understand. And Southwest Airlines has decided they know how to fix this. And I thought of you when I saw this because I thought, yep, you and I may look at this the same way. They said they've got a fix that they're not guaranteeing, but they're sure it's going to take care of this behavior. They're going to put a sticker in the overhead compartment saying, don't do this. And that's going to fix the bad behavior. We don't have to worry about it. Problem solved. And I'm wondering how many committees it took to come up with that ingenious solution. It's not going to work. Now, if they had asked me, and they never do, I would have said, put a sticker up there that says, if you put your bag here and you're not sitting here, $500 fine. I guarantee you throw some money, whether or not you mean it or not, just something that's going to scare the individual thinking, if not, at least the women would tell their husbands, don't you even think about it. Carry that bag back there with us. But that is a legitimate concern, not only with Southwest, but other airlines. That one is a big time trouble. And of course, people are saying, since you forced us to sit in our assigned seats, I'm having an issue with the overhead storage compartment, and they're complaining. And that complaint, I certainly understand.
All right, real quick, I want to get you back to day trading, but the situation in Iran, real quick, I know you watch the markets, LNG, oil and gas, that's the trading side of things, but anything in Iran catching your eye in the aviation travel world right now? Is it affecting anything right now?
You know, I learned 30 years ago, starting to use the stock market, I could watch the market to see how it reacts to world or local events to see if it's a big deal or not. And the markets really didn't respond too much. Over the weekend, we were fearing it might drop a bit. Monday, it was pretty much a muted response. But we did see the airline stocks and the transportation stocks like cruise lines dip quite a bit because the fear was, okay, we've got issues here where, you know, we might see a lack of travel in the near future. And that's expected. Right now, we're seeing airlines under further pressure because what's taking place is that the fuel issue, the cost of fuel is going up. And of course, airlines are going to quickly pass that along to passengers, but they've yet to start adjusting some of their advanced reservations or advanced bookings. So I'm encouraging everybody, if you're on the fence as far as grabbing summer travel, fall travel, even winter travel, and you're kind of waiting to make that reservation, I would consider doing it sooner than later because once you purchase that ticket, it locks in the fare.
Yeah.
So that means you're guarded against any future fare increase. Always get the trip cancellation insurance just to make sure if there's a problem. But look, if this continues to go on and fuel prices go up, airlines will not hesitate to jack the prices up, blaming it on the fuel increase. And of course, if fuel goes down, they're going to keep the fares the same anyway. So grab it while you can.
Jay Ratliff, I appreciate you. A little overtime there. I appreciate you. Thank you, my friend. JayRatliff.com. JayRatliff.com. I try to keep that. That was way overtime. I apologize, Jay. I try to keep it much shorter. I apologize for that. Just so many good things to talk about. It's my window thing. This darkness in the plane. It's got me off kilter, my friends. It really does have me off kilter. All right. Tomorrow we're going to talk more about this. It's Friday. Talk about some fun. I mentioned this about 2 weeks ago. We have set the date for our annual casino gala, however you want to say it, for Rivers Promise. It's coming up early in the month of May. It's in the Colorado area, the Omni Interlaken Resort and Hotel. And we'd like for you to be there. If you're local, put it on your calendar now. It's a night of casino fun. We have one of the best crooners, I think, in the nation. Derek Evilsizer's there. And if you'd think Frank Sinatra himself is reincarnated. It's just a fun night, and we've done them before. We're now doing them annually, and this is our second one. And last year it was a kickoff to the new style, the new location, and we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. It's also going to be the campaign kickoff for our final phase of our elementary K through 6 campus construction capital project. So it's going to be a great night. I'll talk about that tomorrow. If you'd like to make a donation, some of you got a check in the mail yesterday at the office from one of the great listeners. Said thanks for the work you do and appreciate you. Very, very kind. $63, whatever the amount was. It's just every amount helps out. And I got a couple of donations yesterday in the credit cards from people that I think I see names on the chat. I'm assuming they're viewers and listeners, because anyway, thank you. Go to riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. Make a donation today. I really would appreciate you doing that. It goes straight to the kids, and it helps us break kids from the cycle of poverty and save them from a life that could be prostitution and petty theft, because these are kids who would not have access to school elsewhere. If you want to learn more about Rivers Promise, just go to the website, riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. You'll see the story of why I started the organization and why we work so hard to keep that promise that we made. Riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. All right, it's time for the stolen meme section of the show. We are overtime for sure. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Losing a congressional seat is so easy in Texas, even a caveman can do it. That's a Geico thing. I love it. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Ladies and gentlemen, find someone that looks at you in life like Bill Clinton looks at his Epstein Island memories. Look at his attorney. His attorney's like, would you give me the damn paper? That's the funniest thing ever. I tell you, that's a hottie right there. I don't remember that one. You got her number? Let's find her. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Iran has 11 brand new submarines. They used to be battleships. As of yesterday, now they're submarines. And Gunny, my friend R.P. Newman, is going to lead a fishing expedition to Sri Lanka. Go back and watch the interview. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the news from, no one knows. You have officially entered the stage of Trump's presidency, where Democrats take side with an Islamic dictatorship. I didn't think TDS could get any worse. Yeah, no kings, but let's put the king, the Iranian dictator, back in place so women can be shoved back in their burqas, because we hate Trump. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. To save time, Iran appoints a supreme leader who's already dead. The Babylon Bee cracks me up. On that fishing trip with R.P. Newman to Sri Lanka, be careful. You may pull that up from the ocean if you're not careful. Reefs. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. John Kennedy quote of the day, go sell your crazy somewhere else. We're all stocked up here. Yep, some of you need to do that. Go sell your crazy elsewhere. We're busy. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Can I call you back? I'm shaving my privates right now. This is how rumors get started. You got to look at the photo. If you're listening right now, it doesn't make sense. It's a private in the military. Yeah, can I call you back? I'm shaving my privates right now. That's how rumors get started. Yeah, rumors get started because you're listening to the audio of the show, and you heard me say that, and now you're not seeing the picture. You got to see the image. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Well, China knows we have reached the end of our stealing section of the show, and we appreciate all of you tuning in and being a part of it, but we must stop now. Ladies and gentlemen, Sherry Cree, thank you. HomesWithSherry.com. Go to, if you would, my friends, go to riverspromise.org, make a donation, learn more about the charity today, and if nothing else, say a prayer for all the kids who are helping over there in Rwanda, keeping a promise that I made to my son many years ago. It's been a pleasure to be here in the House of Lakey at the Lakey Entertainment Towers, House of Lakey Studios. It is a pleasure to be here. We'll be back here tomorrow morning. Everybody go to the Spotify, the iHeart platform, the Apple podcast, wherever you listen to find podcasts. Like us, subscribe us, share us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Lakey is unleashed from the confines of corporate radio. And I'm glad to have you here with me on the program. God bless you. God bless America. I am Jimmy Lakey. Peace. I'm out of here.